Okay, mic on now. I forgot to turn the mic on. Welcome to SGDC. I am with your muscular, host, me, Mauricio. Hi. Let's fucking go. Yeah. In order for me to flex, you have to donate to Spell. So yeah. Show off your stuff. Yay. So, first up, we have Mariana. Woo! And is it showing? Yeah.
Hi. I wanted to do this earlier, but I was sick. I've done so many things. So, I'll present things that I've done. Like, I released a game. Yes. We now have an update for July, which is like the end of a row of updates after release because the save load was broken a bit. Then we fixed it, and then we fixed it again, and now we fixed it. We also have Steam achievements now in Kotter, which I'm 90% sure you can get all of them. Some doubt remains. I saw in the community chat today that someone asked, has anyone got the spoiler achievement? So I have to investigate that. I made new icons, as you can see, the little stairs icons, which make me happy, and made some like small adjustments of like things not being aligned perfectly, and that kind of bugging me. And yeah, we'll do more updates, but also in the meanwhile, after I actually this before I published the game, I also became a published author. So one of my horror stories got featured on a on a horror podcast called Scare You to Sleep. So you can listen to it, episode 389, Parallel Street. Partly inspired by Vecchia. And also horror. And after I finished my after we released Cortar, I kind of wanted to do something because I was like still my fingers were itching, and I wanted to do something that has a completely different color palette. So I took photos of roses and stuff, and then I started making like a whole new game idea. And now I've made like a key art for it as well. I don't know. You don't need key art when you don't have a game, but here it is. It's called Summer Alignment, kind of like summer assignment, but alignment also. I don't know. So I thought I just continued the role with year-based things. So I have two sides of the game, and I hopefully will be keeping it tight and just have two screens. And one of them is a kind of a farming game where you just grow strawberries, but then I thought strawberries are kind of boring, and there will be weird berries instead. And it's kind of like day by day you plant a seed, and then you see them grow and kind of tend to them. And the year is 1886. And then in parallel, there's another timeline where you're in the same place, you're in the cabin, and the year is 1986, and you're a geology student who found a flyer for a summer job to identify minerals in a strange cabin where maybe these minerals were grown in like a magical way. Who knows, maybe these parallel storylines will meet. This kind of an idea of like having two storylines at the same time. I made like a mock-up for like growing screen of like having like a apron where you can pick the tool and then you can click on the berry. And very simple gameplay. And these are some inspirations. Like my favorite horror TV show, Archive 81, has like two parallel years of like someone restoring a videotape, and then you see the videotape, and then it's like 20 years ago, someone filming like a haunted house or something. And then Oxenfree, which is a game where you in the game kind of go in back and forth in time a little bit and discover a story that way. And yeah, that's all. Questions? Question? Yeah.
Not a question, but I really like the art style. I like also that one screen with like, the apron you're talking about.
Thanks. No feedback though in
Otherwise,
a rule. Yeah, but thanks. Yes.
So is this something you're gonna think about developing as a full game?
Yeah, I'm thinking to do it as simple as possible, and maybe have very simple mechanics and some text to help out. But at the same time, it's like Quarter was supposed to be like a really simple game that I do in a month, so who knows. Back person.
What will you be making it?
I think Godot. Great. Review Quarter. Johan.
Is there a reason that all the years end with a 6?
Well, my thought process was like at first thought it would. I don't want to make it 1986. I wanted to make it 1988, and then I remembered that for some reason it has some like 2 8s have symbolism for Nazis, and then I was like, let's just go for 86 because I don't want to think about that. And then everything will end in 6, then let it be 666. It's better symbolism. Yeah.
Next up, Nanda.
Hello. Let's see. Okay, I'm Nanda. I'm making Abyss of Kings, and I've been starting to sketch out the content for the game, or like more detailed the storyline and stuff. And I was thinking, I was starting on assets, and I was like getting some references for the first area, which is going to be like an abandoned mine. And I started modeling, which I've never really done before, so this is like super basic beginner stuff. And here you can see it in the game with all the shaders, which are doing most of the work. Still gonna fine tune a lot of that, and don't mind the skeletons that you're gonna see in a second, because those are just an asset. But yeah, this is just kind of sketching out how it's gonna work with the lighting, and oh yeah, I'm just working ladders now, and as well, which I thought looked really cool with the dithering. Yeah. And the other thing I've been working on is to like experiment more with the assets. I also want to know how the levels are actually going to look like. And I don't want to use Unity's terrain tool, and I've been making my own, and it needed a lot of reworking. So I've been mainly focused on that the past couple days. The one part of the editor is like this marching cube thing, where that's really useful to make the caves. And like I'm trying to add a lot of different tools to speed things up. I'll just let the thing play. Yeah, that's pretty much that. And the other side of the editor is this voxel editor that I'm gonna use for like building out the chessboards, and also for just more artificial structures in the world, but I'm not quite sure how that's gonna look like yet. Yeah, and that works pretty well at the moment. And you can like merge the two really well. Yeah, the only issue right now is serialization and undos, because somehow there's a lot of struggle with voxels and making sure they don't get deleted for some reason. So that's what I'm still working on. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions? Yes?
I don't really understand. What's the game?
The game is a shooter where you fight chess pieces.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yes?
So tell us kind of about that. It says your cave tool you're developing also going to be in your game?
So, you're not going to be able to edit to make the caves in the game. It's just for making the game.
Yeah, it's like you're making like caves in the game too that you're like.
Yeah, like the setting is that you're in these caverns and like yeah. Yes?
You talked about chessboards, so the word is going to be a mix of chessboards and bargaining stuff.
Yeah, I can actually, maybe I have my previous presentation. Hopefully there's a GIF. Maybe. This is my shader test scene. This might be a better example.
Okay.
So, yeah, the chessboards will be kind of like encounters, like if you imagine it like an arena shooter. But you will also explore in between, and there's a story to it, why things are that way, and it's a bit convoluted, but yeah, that's basically the idea.
Thanks.
Yes?
How many levels are you planning to have?
I'm not quite sure yet. There will be like multiple zones, but there won't be like clear levels, so it's more like there will be quite a lot of like chessboard encounters, but the actual exploration will be more like smooth and like more not open world, but like seamless kind of. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Next art.
Hello, it's me. That's not me. That's me. We're using the exact same PowerPoint again, but different this time. Cool. I'm still making Bug Game. Or names still. I'll come up with it eventually. Oh yeah, Google hates me, so I had to upload the video to Discord. Which okay. So I've added a little sort of wrapper to the little window that has the little bugs that show up. It's a little difficult to see because of all the kind of stuff, but there is like now a dynamic drop shadow that appears on them that gives them a little bit of depth, because I got distracted and thought that would be cool to do instead of actually add features. But I did have some fun dealing with creature generation just to try and like handle and manage all of them. So I did the same thing and tried to put 10,000 in there. It ran, kind of. It jitters a little bit, but you know, I don't think the main game will have 10,000 bugs, but it was fun to see. And it's still using less memory than my web browser, so I don't know why that's the case. But this is how the actual one looked, and this was running an engine, and so Discord used more than the game does, so I guess I'll take that. Still running harder than Steam, though. Another thing I did this week was, I don't know why it took me 2 full weeks to actually try to write down a production plan, but I've got a Kanban board where I've been using a cost value matrix, which I've done for other projects before. Again, really not sure why I didn't do this for this one. But this is just how I manage what tasks are going to happen. And if anybody wants to talk more about that, feel free to hit me up because it's kind of boring. But I think it's very good to realize this really cool thing you thought you might want actually doesn't have as big of an impact on the game and was going to take longer, so you end up deprioritizing it, which is a little sad that you have to tell yourself that, hey, adding a password sharing system for bugs is pretty unimpactful initially, and it's going to take a lot of work, so maybe don't put that on your high to-do list. I'm like, dang it, that sounded cool. Maybe later. So what's coming up next, these are the things that I've queued up for next week, is I want to have there to be a hatching mechanic where you have a egg or some sort that, takes time TM to hatch, and then it'll spawn a different variation of a critter. These are some of the variations that I've got written up. I want to have different movement patterns that are going to be happening procedurally, and these are inspired by different things. So you've got something like an inchworm. I've got like a little scuttlebug that's going to do that. I've been calling it a fish because it kind of just follows forward and moves its head, and the rest of the body kind of trails behind it. And then I've been thinking of doing procedural like millipede legs that all happen kind of like cellular automata. I might get 2 of those in, but I kind of want to play around and have fun with it. For tomorrow, when we do play testing, I'll have a build up. Maybe I'll try to add an interaction thing in before the afternoon. But would be very happy if people with different computer types would reach out to me, or vice versa, to see if this thing runs on their machine, because I'm doing some operating system level manipulation and I'm not confident that it'll work on everybody's computer. And I haven't tried it yet, so if you would like to, I might be able to spare a piece of candy for your efforts. And if my takeaway for another thing with that is some of the theming I want to have is these bugs live in your computer, and if you feed and take care of them, it'll make your code work better because you'll have less bugs, right? So for the narrative of it, if anybody wants to help give me ideas of what sort of things you worry about causing problems with code or your games in general, there's still a development thread on Discord, and I added a QR code for my Blue Sky because I'm going to try and do more social media stuff as soon as I get more assets, because I still am nervous about putting that on big internet. But that's it. That's all I got.
Why are you waiting for more assets to put it on Blue Sky?
I think I want to have something to say about them first. That, and I've been really focusing on trying to do Steam stuff. So maybe next week when I have my Steam page up, I can start doing Blue Sky stuff. But honestly, I've just been I've been caught in this thing of, I haven't been making much progress in development. I need to focus completely on that. And hopefully recognizing that I need to have a production process will let me feel better about doing non-development things. But I do want to soon. But I have just feel like I haven't had much to show for it as much as I'd like to. Cool. All right. That's it for me.
Next up, Roman.
All right. So I've been here since middle of May, so figured it's the best time to do an introduction and show what I've been dragging my feet on. All right. Do I click there?
Yes, good stuff.
Okay. All right. So I'm Roman. I'm from California, Northern California. Don't know why I put my favorite cuisine on there, but it's Mexican food. And then on the map is just roughly the left arrow is where I grew up in Northern California near Sacramento. And then the other one is Reno, where I've been living by myself, living or losing my mind for the past 2 years by myself. But yeah. So I went to school at Noman, School of Visual Effects, Games Animation from 2018, 2023. The three in a row with the Unreal icon is my portfolio pieces from school. But from Noman, I initially was trained as a 3D generalist, and then the last 2 years specialized as a character artist for games, particularly realistic ones. And then, yeah, once I graduated, it was like nearly 2 years of getting headhunted by studios and then having those studios lay off their hiring staff as I was having interviews with them. So it was a pretty big gap before I actually got to work in the industry, but finally did at Halon Entertainment last year from July to September for their virtual art department, and basically was just making characters from concepts they give me, and they would use them for early visualization for a upcoming live action movie. And yeah. Oh, and then the character art test, that was an art test I did successfully, and then didn't get the job anyways, but yeah. And then this is what I've been working on right now. It's a Warhammer character, Gene Stealer cultist. Mainly use ZBrush, Marvelous Designer, Substance Painter, a little bit of Blender, and final result's going to be in Unreal. It's not done yet, but this is like last week in Substance Painter. And then this is my high poly back in ZBrush. Basically, I just try to sculpt in a lot of detail to where when I bake the high poly character into like the game ready mesh, I try to get just a good enough amount of sculpting on there to where I just use the baked maps in Substance and just make a bunch of custom maps using generators. So like all the wrinkles on the skin and stuff when you bake, God, I don't know how to describe it. Just you can make a lot of detail pop out with the stuff you sculpted, and it saves a lot of time texturing. And then this is in Unreal Engine right now, just getting the material set up and the lighting. And I'm actually going to go back and probably redo part of the chest plate because I'm not happy with it. And then just a few texture tweaks in some places. But after that, I'll be posing it and then maybe adding a gun. But yeah. And then in Unreal Engine, this is just my material setup. So up on the top left, these are all material functions. So it's just a shitload of nodes that I put together and then parameterized. So basically in these little guys right here, I just slap that onto the model. And then for each texture set, you get something like this in the material instance. So these are basically just all the nodes that I have set up. I just organized them nicely, and you just have like a bunch of sliders so you can like tweak how everything looks without having to jump back to substance and like retexture stuff and whatnot. And just my reference boards initially. I was just going off of some illustrations from Games Workshop, and then just some of the games I've been playing, like Dark Tide. It's like the visual style I was going for on the right. But yeah, and then just more about me. Games I've been playing recently a lot. Helldivers with my friends, some Dwarf Fortress, Total War Warhammer, Warhammer Vermintide, Dark Tide, a lot of Warhammer. And then movies, not like all my favorite movies, just like ones that I guess semi-inspired me to go into art stuff, particularly. John Carpenter's The Thing is probably, actually it is my favorite horror movie, but that's like where I really wanted to get into sculpting from watching that. And then Alien, Predator. When I was a little kid, watched Jurassic Park on the VHS repeatedly, and I like some of the newer stuff. I like is like Robert Eggers stuff, like The Lighthouse, or the most recent one was Nosferatu. And then usually my pets from home, Kaya on the left, Fizzy in the middle, and then my sister's snake, but I was taking care of him for a lot. His name's Dart, but yeah. And yeah, and then I also had my website if you just wanted to peek at my older work. But in all of these, I'd always like pose them up and then make like little fly around videos in Unreal of my work. But yeah, that one was a lot of hair cards and stuff. But yeah, if you ever wanted to look at that. But yeah, thank you. Any questions?
What is your favorite Mexican food?
When I lived in LA, there's a taqueria like just down the street from my apartment, and they had like carne asada fries, and that was like my favorite. But generally, I'd say just tacos. But that in particular, yeah.
Oh, that was my turn. Okay, sorry. When you work on a character like that, when do you decide that it's enough? Like, I feel like you could spend years.
Yeah, like right now I'm just trying to, like right now I'm just like pushing it to where I'm like mostly happy with it, and I'm like 90% there. It's just the chest plate I think could use more complexity. I just think modeling wise I just made it really basic. And then yeah, just typically with all the other stuff I just try to throw it into a pose to try to get I don't know, just try to evoke a emotion when looking at it initially more. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Cham?
What's been your most like favorite like portfolio piece to work on?
Probably the Viking guy that I had on here, because he was like the worst one to work on initially. Let's see, there it is. So all these hair cards on here. Initially, that was like a nightmare because before this, I didn't really do any hair stuff that much. But by the end of it, I discovered that I like doing hair, but yeah, I need to do more of it after that. But the one I also liked doing was this one. It was for a creature concepting class, and it was just like not really worrying about like game optimization and all that. It was just like we're just making up stuff, and yeah. I forget what I was playing around then, but yeah.
What's your goal for being at Spell?
So initially I came to Spell to kind of just shore up some mental health and work on my portfolio at the same time. But after watching the game jam, like I definitely, if I'm here for another game jam, I definitely want to hop in on it. Probably want to eventually get into making my own game, which if I do, I'd probably do it here. And yeah, I'll be here at least until like mid-August, but we'll see if it's longer. In the back.
How long are you working on this, and also how long it usually takes?
So this was initially I like was doodling the head like a year ago, and then at some point before I came here, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take this piece and like make the whole thing. But I think far as like total time I've worked on it, it's probably somewhere around like 3 weeks of actual work time. But like when I've been here, it's like been like 2 months or something, but only like a few weeks of actual work because I've just been dragging my feet a lot. But usually I would be done within like 2 to 3 weeks, and when I worked for my previous job, that one was like way faster. It was like 2 days for a character, but it was like lower detail, and they're just trying to figure out what they want stuff to look like. But yeah, typically 3 weeks ish. Stefan?
Have you been thinking about getting into more stylized stuff?
Yeah. There's been way more job opportunities recently for like stylized stuff. So like if I had to go back in time, I'd probably be like, I should have done some stylized work. But I think once I'm done with this, I'll probably be trying to branch out more either into stylized stuff or maybe even doing like more hair work, because a lot of people hate doing that and I like doing it. But yeah. All right. Thank you.
Next up, Max.
Hi everybody. Hi internet people. I've missed this. Isn't this? All right. Yeah. SGDC. I should do an reintroduction thing. So let's do that. I'll hit build spell. Okay. Hello gamers. I'm Max. I'm Australian. I am an artist apparently. I lived in Spelkollektivet previously in 2023 and 2024 for 15 months. I am a Pisces, and I am always angry at God. You might know me from these t-shirts everyone's rocking. I did that art. I don't have one of those shirts yet. I need to hassle James. And apparently there's rumors that I eat chalk. I didn't eat chalk. I didn't swallow. I just chewed on it a bit and dribbled in my beard. But you can say I ate chalk, it's fine, because that's probably a better reputation than this photo was. What else? Oh yeah, right now I'm here to work on Outlaw Kingdom with Casper. So these are some icons I did for him as my, I guess, job application. Just when you were talking over Discord, and then yesterday I did these 2 icons. So I have about 200 more to go, so that'll be my life for the next couple of months. I also work on a game called Bottled Sky, which is being published by the house. There is a reason why it's at the end of the house's roadmap for when games are going to come out, but we're working on it. I'm working on that with Mariana, who's doing the sound, and Lucas Mayer, who was a former homie who's back in Sydney, Australia. If you want to follow how that game is going, I suggest subscribing to Lucas's YouTube channel where he posts dev updates. Right now, he's doing a lot of back-end stuff, like making sure the features can work. So, yeah, like he hasn't needed content on my end for a little while, so I have been quite lazy with this project. But yeah, like it should be going along quite well. What have I done since I was last here? It's the burning question. I ate some Oreos. I gained a lot of weight. Played Pokemon. You can just ignore that. I'm here on a professional business trip. I'd made a video about the game Multiverses because I really liked the beta, but then the full game came out and was just incredibly bad. But I still played it for 700 hours. I think I had depression that was flavored like Bugs Bunny. It's a dark time in my life since I left Spelkollektivet. But it's all over now. That game's dead, and it probably should be. But I also did some social stuff. I went to my local pub for a trivia night a couple of times, including video game trivia, which you already know we won. Come on. And then they had a DreamWorks trivia night. And I figured no one gives a shit about DreamWorks pictures. So if I studied really hard, I could probably win that. So in a single month, I watched 45 children's movies. This really fucking took a toll on me. Like in my shower, I'm just thinking about the Boss Baby. So yeah, I don't recommend watching that. There's some good films in this lineup. They're a fine animation house, but watch real movies in between. But we won that by a lot. Turns out my strategy worked. And then on the plane over here, I got the high score in Airplane Tetris by a lot. My name is Q because I was just mashing through the menus. I also did some comic-y book postery things of my Dungeons and Dragons campaigns with my friends. This is a terrible idea. Never do art for yourself. It takes too much time and you make no money. But it was fun. And these two I wanted to highlight. One on the left is based on a campaign I played in the house with little Chris, Alice, and Paulina. And the one on the right features many of these bat-like mosquito creatures from Dungeons and Dragons called a sturge. And I drew every single one of these individually, so I assume I've drawn more of this creature than any human ever has. Also, I did this logo last year for Glenn. I don't know if he's in the room, but I think it turned out okay. Oh yeah, and another game that was in the house. You should buy this one on Steam, called Claymores of Lost Kingdom. I was commissioned to do some art for it, including this skeleton man. And that was fun. Then what? Oh yes, this is my personal project. It's a monster game. So a lot of what I've done lately for it is try and get some UI mock-ups, if at the very least, and slowly working with my programmer friend to get them in-game. And yeah, here's the world premiere of the gameplay, I guess, at its very early ugly stages. This GIF is working, that's good. It's very exciting stuff. They whack into each other. It's amazing. It's revolutionary. Hopefully someday it looks good. Yeah, I also read this book on my way down here. This is just, I really recommend it. It's about the history of Blizzard games, and it mirrors the entire industry in many ways. So yeah, I'm just going to put it in the house bookshelf after this presentation. And I also got a Switch 2. Which room would be best to put it in for people to just play casually? Because this room? Sure, I can do that. Yeah, that's it, I guess. Any questions? Yes.
Best and worst DreamWorks movie.
Best one is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish by a mile. That's a masterpiece. Worst one, I hated the Jim Parsons alien movie Home. So it's the guy from The Big Bang Theory doing the voice of Starfire from Teen Titans. And it's just, really, I hated it. Any other questions? Alright. Farewell. Looking forward to meeting you.
Meadow.
That was a Christmas video, like the Queen.
Okay. Hi. A lot of you probably know me. Also, hi to any friends and family that are watching this. I've been here for like a month, but I never got around to doing one of these presentations, so I'm doing that now. Yeah, it's been a month. I'm sure you all have plenty of questions. Not those questions, those ones suck. But you're probably asking, who are you? What have you done this month? I just realized I'm not in presentation mode. We don't need to talk about that. Okay, so first off, who am I? I do game development, I do writing, mainly writing for games, but I also do other stuff. If anyone wants to ask after the presentation, I do have an AO3. Music, I started making chiptune in Family Tracker just in 2018. A good friend taught me how to use it, and I've been using it since, kind of off and on. I will info dump about the different chips and how they all work. Pixel art, started learning it last week. I'm practically a master. I post on Tumblr, and I read webcomics, I read books, I read fan fiction, and I make too many playlists. And then over here on the right, there's just a list of games that I like. Yeah, we're nerds here. We like games, I know. What have I done this month? After getting here, I decided to make a small project just to get into the hang of like making games. So I made a machine learning Connect 4 project, and that took me like 2 weeks to finish up and post on itch. I might revisit it sometime because the algorithm learns very slowly as it is right now, but I'm pretty happy with it. Even drew like this little Matchbox thing is a parody of like how Menace, the model that it's based on, uses matchboxes to determine its moves. Because it wasn't made on a computer. The thing this is based on was made with literal matchboxes. It took like 300 of them. This project would take trillions of matchboxes to create in the same way. Connect 4 is much more complex than tic-tac-toe. And then I've started working on an Inscription fan game. The things I've done to work on that, I contacted the original creator of Inscription, Daniel Mullins, to make sure that like he's cool with it. He is. I started a project in Godot. I made a resource template for the cards and just sort of imported nearly every card from Inscription into the Godot project as a start. I've actually coded the cards functionality, but like their stats are all like in stat blocks in my project, with the exception of the Mox cards because I'm not dealing with that. And then I began learning pixel art for this project and started making some card mock-ups. Which, speaking of which, before that actually, here's this other thing I'm working on, Project Orbit. I've started conceptualizing this exploration-focused puzzle adventure game. It takes place in this world that's separated into these 8 zones, sort of based on the planets in our solar system. And they all have unique mechanics. You play as this silly little guy named Eclipse, who's crash landed on this planet and is sort of trying to explore it and like learn more about this world. Also, they were drawn by a good friend of mine. The main inspirations for it are Yumi Nikki and Off, sort of just capturing the bizarre nature of both of their worlds, sort of like with some aesthetics from both, and especially like one of the main inspirations was how Off has like its world works in these clearly defined ways that just don't make sense. Like to get the air they breathe, they mine smoke from under the ground. They get their metal from like animals, and like their meat flows in fountains. It like all makes a kind of internal sense that doesn't make sense in the context of like our planet, and that's sort of the vibe I want to go with for Orbit. Okay, like I said earlier, I've been learning pixel art. I played the demo for Pixel Art Academy, and after 41 minutes, I can confidently say I'm a master at it. Look at this awesome food sprite I did for the snake game. Isn't it so good? I'm genuinely proud of it. And then also the snake's okay. And then this little alpaca here, who may or may not be on fire, is helping me make pixel art by being a good art program. So Inscription. It's a video game. For those who don't know, it's a deck builder roguelike, kind of before they became cool. It's split into 3 acts. Act 1 sort of has you in this cabin where you're like sort of modifying all your cards as you go to like graft other sigils onto them, or like sometimes you stitch 2 of them together or stuff like that. Act 2 sort of is like this retro style thing, and Act 3 is like a computer world. So these are the card mock-ups I started making for the fan game. I wanted to draw from the pixel art style of Acts 2, but I realized because I'm going to include the mechanics of the other acts that involve a lot of modifying cards and stuff, I'm going to need more room. So this is the sort of design I settled on. It's like a 48 by 64. It's got a title that has just enough room for most cards. I have to abbreviate it for some of them. It's got room for the costs on the upper right. And then here's the ability box where passive abilities go in the top, activated abilities go in the second row, and sort of attack and health go at the bottom. As you can see here, variables are also represented with their own symbols. These are the original cards these mockups are based on. So as you can see, this is the squirrel, flying ant. I didn't do the art for flying ant and Bone Lord's horn yet. I just wanted to get an idea of what the symbols would look like. Chapter 2. I'm just kidding. There's no chapter 2. What's next? I want to make the battle system for the fan game next. I sort of drew up this concept for what it'll look like a while back. I want to move to using this palette to sort of have a more authentic retro feel to it. And then I just sort of have a list of card concepts I want to add because there are going to be some custom cards. Yeah, questions? You.
So the Inscription game, will it be mostly about card gameplay, or do you want to add some sort of story or stuff like the original
Oh,
game?
it's definitely gonna have its own story. I've been like sort of working on that where it's sort of like an AU thing, like the whole side thing. I'm mainly focusing on the gameplay and development, but I have a whole story in the back of my head. That's just how my brain works. Anyone else? Oh.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the project VOD. You said there were 8 zones, right?
Yeah.
And what? So you get to explore all of them. What do you think, like the length of the game? How long will it take?
Length of the game. Let's see. Each of the zones will probably be relatively. It also depends because the game's very exploration focused in my head. So like, it's gonna kind of depend on how much you explore the world and like. Depending on, it would probably range from like maybe like 5 to 15 hours or so, maybe. I haven't figured out an exact time range, but that feels right to me. Anyone else? All right.
Next up, Nathan.
Hello. You're gonna do most of the talking,
Okay. So yeah, we secured a crossover deal with Sega. I'm kidding. So yeah, we've done it. So here's a screen that I programmed today. It's basically our pitch screen. Last SGDC, we were talking a bit about this pitch mechanic of like testing your theories and like working through them. So here are just some GIFs about how that works. So you can see, you click on the theory and then you can edit your answer, submit, and then that changes the conclusion. And it's based on like permutations, and then you can pitch those, and then characters discuss that. Yeah, you can test your theories. Here you can see me start playing with permutations, and that changes the conclusions that are created. So the player can just get quick feedback on stuff. And also debriefing. So if you press the debrief button, you can replay a conversation that they had about that specific question. So it's kind of to like, you know, if you need to remember some things or need to see how players interacted. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. Also Steam, we're working on the Steam page. Capsule is still a work in progress. That's like one of our first concept arts that Nate made. But we're setting it up and hopefully it'll be live soon. And yeah, we have less than a month left until we are back home. We haven't done as much progress as we wish we had due to multiple like interruptions and setbacks during our stay. Like it's been a little hectic, but now we're free of our shackles. So we will lock in and hopefully, you know, finish pretty soon. And yeah, ideally we'll have this team page up very, very soon to start gathering wish lists and all that jazz.
Yeah, okay, so I haven't been part of this presentation or the last one because I've been having to do my job that isn't games, which is drawing. And I've been working on something called Carved in Stone. I'm one of many artists part of that, and it's like a part tabletop, part archaeological project that is about the ancient Pictish people of Scotland, which is really cool. And I had a lot of fun. And here's some of the art I did. There's a lot of comic style, like art stuff, character work, big painting things, people, items. There's actually a lot I didn't put on here because it would just be too much. And then this was the big one, and I'm really proud of it. And yeah, this took me a lot of time, but I'm done now. So
Yay.
questions?
Any questions?
So what do you guys plan on doing next in your development? Now you guys are free.
The game.
Okay.
Literally, things are written out. We know what we need to do. We just need to sit down and do it. Honestly, that's the main thing. We need to sit down.
It's easy.
Yeah.
How much time do you think that would take?
I mean, we're hoping, like we said so when we first got here, our goal is that we'll finish the first chapter, at least content block and art stuff. We'll have it done before we leave. So that's early August. As for how much time I think it'll take, I don't know, but I feel confident that we can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are you guys going to have templated text in your game? As in, there's a template with some gaps where it fills what the player filled in the pitch stuff? Or is it still a fixed dialogue tree?
Is your question how we're handling the permutations for the pitch mechanic stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, so those are for most of the combinations they are pre-written as in okay, what will it say if you picked this permutation, right? So there is a lot of those, but we are sometimes talking about okay, if it makes sense, do we have a fallback that it can default to if they do this kind of thing, or they don't pick any of the other things that we wrote something for. So it's kind of both, but for the most part, they are pre-written.
Yeah, we are planning everything beforehand, and then if it doesn't make sense at all, for example, if a player chooses a permutation that just doesn't really make sense, or we can't get something out of that, instead of just being I don't know, we'll at least write a little something that explains why that's wrong, or that's
right.
It couldn't have been these two people. That doesn't make sense, and let them know so to guide them a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but we are planning all that beforehand.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. What's up, Stefan? Someone said fake news to the who done it in Knuckles thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so wait, is this one right? Yeah. We worked for the Midsummer Game Jam on a game called Meat, and you guys really liked the graphics, so I thought I would break it down. It kind of got very technical, and I don't know if you can do this in 5 minutes, but I hope you get the gist at least. So it's 3D pixel art. It's kind of what I do. It's my whole niche. And for the game jam, we did the same thing, just much less vibrant with blood and stuff. And for me, 3D pixel art is just rendering low res, but really strictly following. I mean, not really strictly, but following pixel art conventions. So analyzing pixel art, and then trying to apply those principles to a shader level to actually make it look like pixel art and not completely 3D rendered. So that's what Meat looks like in 3D in the scene view. So it's actually 3D. The only thing that's 2D is the sprites. They're just billboarded towards the camera. And I'm going to go through what goes into this image. So yeah, it's just 3D pixel art, and we follow conventions. So we have the orthographic projection with the 1:2 ratio. That means like, I mean, I'm going to show it later, right now it's confusing to explain. But yeah, lower pixels, we want the pixels all to be consistent size and crisp. No jittering when you move around the camera, which is an obvious tell for like 3D stuff. And we follow a consistent color palette, just like hand-drawn art. Then we do shading, we do selective outlining, which is like a method where when you do outlining in pixel art, you for the lit parts, you go one shade higher, and in the shadow, you go one shade darker. And has a kind of a nice effect. We'll look at that more soon. And of course, a lot of blood, because the game is meat. So yeah, I'm just gonna go like through step by step. So this is like the very basic perspective view, high-res Unity URP default thing. And first we do the perspective, which I call the 1:2 ratio, because if you rotate a cube by 45 degrees, you get like the 1:2 step, which is like very common in pixel art games that do like isometric art. So that's like the first step. Then we do a very low res output, and instead of just applying like a resolution multiplier or doing like a post-process pixelation shader, what I do is like actually calculate the pixel size I want and outputting that onto like a texture, and then putting that on the UI so I can actually control what the actual pixels look like, and it's based on a pixels per unit value, which I can adjust. So when I put the sprite in the scene and I know it's 16 by 16, and I can just make it like one size and it will perfectly line up with the pixel grid. And whatever I change about the width or height of the screen, it adapts to everything, and the pixels always stay consistent. Yeah. And then we have jittering, which happens when you move the camera in the 3D space without doing anything special, which just looks really bad. And you want it to be 2D. So what we do is like we imagine the pixel resolution as like a grid, and then like extrude it into 3D basically. And you can actually calculate that by taking the orthographic size and dividing it by the screen height. And you do some math and just snap the camera to that 3D grid that's oriented around the camera. And you can actually use the remainder to do smooth panning. So when you take a close look when you play the game, it actually pans between the pixels, because the image of the game is actually on the UI and it can move the UI by a little fraction to like move between the pixels. And it gives a nice illusion that it's actually 2D or whatever. It's pretty similar to like how Godot works with the... I mean, you can do a bunch of 2D games, but yeah. Then color palette. We have like a scriptable object. You put all the colors in there. These are all the colors the material can ever pick. You don't assign it at the material. And that helps it being very consistent. It follows pixel art rules. It has a bit of hue shifting. I really like hand-picked colors over procedural colors. I mean, like, I tried a lot making like some kind of formula or method to like calculate the perfect pixel art palette from just a color, but it never really works out. And it's just nice if you actually pick the colors like a pixel artist would, and that gets us put into a global array that any material can access all the time. And then it's the first part of shading, where we just do a Lambert with a cool curve, so it looks a little more interesting, this shape, instead of the regular linear curve. And then we have shading part 2, where I apply a triplanar mapped like kind of texture, and it's like a shade map grayscale, and it moves the like range of the shading down the color ramp, which is kind of how pixel artists actually shade, like when you do the shading mode in A-Sprite or whatever, that puts it down one shade, and it works the same way. We just set in the material how many shades you want to go down based on texture input. And then we have edge detection. This is what it looks like if you just sample the neighbors and make it black, but they're a little too thick and they look kind of extreme. And what you can do is for a correction is for the depth edges, just it looks at which pixel of each side is like closer to the camera, and it picks that one. And for normal edges that are like around the sphere here, for example, or like this edge, which has the same normal but still has an outline, you just pick the one that's points further up. No, it's a depth edge, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that's some kind of favoring, and you just clip one side basically, and it turns into these nice 1 pixel edges. Then we have the selective outlining, which I talked about, where these outlines actually get applied in the shader itself. So, for example, at this edge you see this one is like brighter, and down here in the bricks, the outline actually turns it darker, and it has a kind of nice effect, which a lot of pixel artists use. And then we just remove some of the edges because it looks a little too sharp and clean, based on some noise, because the meat is pretty dirty. And then we have the blur effects, which are actually not decals or something. It's just I have the Unity particle system check when particles go below Y, and I actually just paint a texture, and the lit shader samples the texture and colors it. So it kind of works like a terrain splat map or something similar. And I can just change the color in the shader. It's like a one-liner because all the colors are global, so you can do a lot of experimental stuff with shaders, and that's a lot of fun. Yeah. And what I really like about 3D pixel art is that it's just a regular 3D renderer, so you can just actually build a level with just 3D stuff and rotate it around and scale it. It makes it very quick to just build things, and they always look right because they follow pixel art conventions. So, yeah. That's basically it. I know it was very technical. Maybe it's a little overkill for a 5-minute thing, but I hope you got like the gist at least. So, yeah. Questions?
So you mentioned that there was a very specific angle that you had to hit to get the pixels looking in a certain way. Is there like a, could you, I mean, I guess you're interested in having a longer 3D pixel art presentation, but could you explain what, like either in a post somewhere on Discord, the logic behind that math to have different angles?
Different angles? Like, in what sense? Like
if someone wanted, because this is very interesting to me, if I wanted to use this and have like a different angle, like what are the rules for what angle it can be at, if that makes sense?
Oh yeah. So like you mean yeah, it was this one, right? With the cube, like the math behind it lining up like the 1-2 ratio.
Yes.
And like knowing which degree you need to like make a different ratio, like 3-1 or 4-1, something like that. Yeah. I mean, I actually don't know that much myself because it gets into crazy math, like trigonometry stuff. So, but something like that, I can send you how you arrive at the 1-2 at least. I have a formula for that. Yeah. Yeah.
How exactly did you prevent the jittering? I didn't understand.
So the reason this happens is because if the camera moves smoothly, but like the meshes are like perfect 3D smooth models, right? There's always some rounding error, which is why the jittering happens. And what I do here is just actually calculate the size of a pixel on the screen, but like in the world, and then snap the camera to that. And that way the rounding error from rasterization is always exactly the same. And that's why it doesn't jitter anymore. Yeah. So if you imagine like the pixel resolution as a grid, just a regular grid, and like try to snap the camera to those points, right?
You also said that the camera has some smooth movements or something.
Yeah, that was probably a bit too much, but there's like, I have like the real position of the camera and then the snap position of the camera, and there's like some difference, right? And I can use that sub-pixel difference to move the UI on top. Like if you have very huge pixels on screen, it can look kind of jarring if you like move the camera and it's like always the full pixel. So I can actually move the UI like between pixels to have like really smooth panning. So, and you can use it using the difference between the snap position and the real position of the camera. Yeah. Yeah. Dorian?
What do you want to add to that now? Because I think you are still working on it. It's in a critical state right now. So what do you want to add?
Well, this is actually like I just made this for the game jam. So like the real version that I used for builds and stuff is like my actual render pipeline. It has even more stuff, but that would be way too much for this presentation. So that's why I also wanted to gauge interest for like if people care about the full thing and actually going a little deeper into the math, for example, to do sub-pixel panning for people who want to replicate this or just want to know about it. So, yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah, Nanda?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, the color palette, is that just based on the brightness of the object, or like which color gets selected?
So these, like that color strip is just a Unity scriptable object. I just pick the colors from like an actual pixel palette or adjust them.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how does the material decide which color it picks from the palette?
Oh yeah. So I have this thing where you have some sliders in the actual material, and you basically just set the ranges inside. So like the ramp, lit, min, max is like the base thing, so it goes from 5 to 9, which is here, and then we have the shade min, which is just like the extra range it can go based on material inputs and the outlines and stuff. So it doesn't go fully black, so there's like a limit to it. And there's like a diffuse value you get when you do shading. So 0 would be 5, it would pick color 5, and for 1 it would pick color 9. Yeah, and you can just adjust that in the actual material thing. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Next up, Andreas.
Thank you. I'm just gonna do this because I noticed that I'm gonna show a video, and I noticed that the volume was very low. What? How do I get back to? Okay. Oh. Stop. All right, so I didn't make any slides, so, and usually I rely heavily on slides to know what I'm going to say, but yeah. So in 1 week, the next SGDC, I'm going to sort of have my 5-year anniversary for Spelkollektivet, and I'm probably going to talk a lot about myself, because I don't think I have done that since I arrived. But more about that later, and maybe after that one I'll reintroduce the game I'm working on, because today will be a little bit confusing and maybe have zero information for you guys. But I want to talk about we call them the travel scenes. Basically, it's sort of a cardish, board game-ish game, and you travel between these different locations. And when you do, I wanted to do some storytelling or some dialogue between the characters, which is very different from the game is just a card game, so it doesn't really have narrative. And since I actually am very impatient with cutscenes and reading walls of text, but I noticed in Banner Saga, I just relaxed, let go of the controls, and just let the thing play out. And I wanted to do that for this game. So that's why there's just like in Banner Saga, it's just a travel scene. But so I'm going to show these levels that you've actually seen the cards for before. But I removed the dialogues so that there won't be any spoilers if you hopefully one day play this. And it's just going to be atmospheric, chillaxing, very boring video. So if you want to look at your phones, that's fine. Oh, so hang on. Yeah, that's how quiet it is.
So that was them. Any questions? Dorian.
Who's doing the art of the game?
Laura Sanchez. She's was a homie back in 2020, and she has been doing art from Spain when she went back home. And recently we've added someone called Miriam from Mexico, but she hasn't really added that much yet. That can not much that can be seen in this travel series at least. Yes, Miras.
You've been here for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
But what are some of your favorite memories?
I might cover that next week.
Okay.
Yeah, because that, I haven't thought about really how to put it forth. I was actually going to use the next week thing. As I said, I'm just going to make it about me, because in 5 years, not really giving a little bit of an icebreaker opportunity when there's new people here. I just figured I actually should probably do this maybe at least once a year to do a whole, like, this is my shtick, and this is sort of... actually, I can give you a preview. And actually, I can answer the question. Basically, my favorite moments, like the cheesy thing to say, is that it's all the conversations, but it's actually true. The reason I haven't left is that I keep having good conversations, and it's just hard to do outside Spelkollektivet, as you might know. But otherwise, like, the happiest moments have been in the movie club I started, where we watch 80s and 90s movies. That for a while I was sort of the dictator, and I just forced people to watch my favorite 80s and 90s really bad, weird movies. And that just made me super happy. Yes. Yes, Chris.
Is it true that there is one more level that you would like to show, that is the last level of the game?
Yeah, I've left out there's what we saw here was the so-called major levels, which all have unique art, and there's going to be some minor levels scattered in between where we're just going to do some narratively, fun stuff, and there's a final major level still left we call it Town, and I just wanted to keep it out for a while we figure out how we're gonna basically pull that off. we just have many ideas, and I guess I'm feeling a little bit insecure about Town, but the art is great. I just don't want to open up that level yet for public discourse. Yes. Anything else? Thank you so much.
Last for public presentations, my guys.
No, just kidding. Shit, where's the Discord? Okay. Hi, it's me again. I'm Midas. As you all know, I've had a presentation about 2 weeks ago, where it was like my first time coming to this place, and tomorrow I'm leaving, so this will be my goodbye presentation. But I'll be back. Let's get on with the presentation. So it's been a little over 2 weeks. Over the course of this time, I've acclimated myself to this environment. I caught a cold. I lived in a tent, and my primary goal here was that I set out to learn programming because I want to become good enough to make my own games or understand the codes of the people that make games that I work with. And basically, I made Flappy Birds following the tutorial. I made the Tetris following the tutorial, and then I made a micro game with my friend William. It was his idea. It was an absolutely brilliant idea, and the game was really fun. So I've been making that over the past week, maybe. And then I played and finished Death Stranding 2. Woo! I said I was gonna do it, and now I did it.
And then I have my deep talks with my brother William, which was, in my opinion, like one of the most like valuable things that I did coming to this place. And then I discovered that the house has inflatable mattresses that you can borrow last night. So if I known that earlier, I wouldn't have slept in the hard floor for like 2 weeks. Okay, but next one, my learning process. I learned the basics following tutorials, and then I tried to understand every single line of code, and I used a lot of ChatGPT, only for learning. And I kept logging my progress, as you can see here. And I consulted the GOAT, Enrique, a whole bunch, and he has kind of become like a mentor figure to me, which I deeply appreciate. And overall, this has pretty much like the combined effect of these things have changed me as a person and as a programmer. I know a lot more things that compared to what I did like 2 weeks ago. So I'm really happy with that. And here are some of the stuff I made. First, on the top here, you can see the mouse? Oh yeah, you can see the mouse. On top here, you can see the micro game that me and William made. It's called we codenamed it as microwave mania or something. But it's the microwave game. Yes, Samus. Yes, I know. Yeah, and then down here we have Flappy Birds. I couldn't capture the game while it was running, so I had to die, unfortunately. And then here you have Tetris, and then here are some of the codes that I wrote, but probably it was Enrique that wrote it. What do I miss the most during my time here? Committing war crimes in VR, and your mom. All right. Anyways, grill tonight. It was something that William and I have been planning for some time. So feel free to come and bring your own meat and veggies. If it rains, we shall all get soaked together. Next one. As you already know, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, but I will be back. And meanwhile, while I'm gone, my games, including Death Stranding 2, will be available on the PS5 in the Cozy Corner. So anyone that has a controller, feel free to play it, or you can borrow one from Lucia. And yeah, lastly, I love this place. I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys again when I come back. Any questions? Yeah.
Will the microwave game be up for playtesting tomorrow?
Yes. It's not my responsibility. I'll be gone, but yes, you better.
When are you planning on return?
I'll be gone for like 2-3 weeks. Since I'm going to Singapore to meet my mom, whom I've missed dearly. Yeah, but afterwards, I don't have anything else planned for the rest of summer, so I'll come back and I'll make cool games with you. Yes.
What war crimes are you committing in VR? I've been wondering since your first presentation.
We've had this conversation.
But I didn't get an answer, and I'm intrigued.
If it's Blade and Sorcery,
It is Blade and Sorcery. Well, oh my, I can't really say that. You know what?
Okay, after the SGDC presentations.
Mercy, I can tell you, I know.
Oh my god.
Okay, shit. Sure, afterwards. Okay. But you might not look at me the same way again. I'm just saying.
It's not easy.
Okay, it's okay. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much, and I love you guys.
All right, those were all the public presentations. Yay!
Okay. And yeah. Well, there's private presentations, but you're not here, so you don't get to see them. Bye.
Come to spell.
Come to, oh yeah, come to Spelkollektivet.
Get over here.
Yay.